Atheist Nomads, episode 323. What the Waldorf?
The podcast you're about to listen to includes cursing and talking about hoo-haws. Please be advised.
Welcome to another episode of Atheist Nomads. I am Dustin, and joining me is Lauren.
Hello.
So it's just the two of us tonight.
Yep. And we're exhausted.
Yep.
Had a very full weekend of traveling the Oregon Outback.
Yep, right after trying to get over colds, and we're still on the tail end of those.
Yeah, I got sniffles, so sorry if I sniffle.
Yep, and colds that we picked up at Camp Nomad.
Yeah, so I know Joel and, well, Danielle and Josh are probably all cursing our names right now as they suffer the same cold. But today is International Podcast Day. That's the day we're recording. How awesome is that?
Oh, that's pretty freaking awesome.
Yeah, it is. That there is even such a thing.
Yeah, definitely.
I have to do something next year. Have cake.
And some kind of a live stream or something.
Yeah, I'll put it in the I'll pencil it in. Pencil it in.
So let's, before we get into the Waldorf thing, this weekend we went to met up with family and camped at the base of Steens Mountain in southeastern Oregon.
It's just one mountain.
Yep. Steens is just the name of the guy who found it. And also, the campground was right at the Dunder und Blitzen campground. Yeah.
Thunder and Lightning, or Donner and Blitzen.
Oh, yeah, sorry.
Because it got renamed. Yeah. The original name was Dunder, which is Thunder and Lightning, because it was storming when the guys crossed it.
Yep.
Then that got changed to Donner and Blitzen, and now it sounds like it's a Christmas reference.
No, Donner und Blitzen.
Donner und Blitzen.
Yeah.
Comet and Cupid.
Uh-huh.
It's weird. I had to look it up, or they had a sign there about it. I was like,
and one thing that's kind of crazy is you get over Heart Mountain and then down across the wasteland, there's Christmas Valley.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, that's true. It's kind of a thing.
Yeah, it's like a whole 100 miles or 150 miles away, but still.
Yeah, but out there, 150 miles is your next door neighbor.
Basically, yep, when you're out in the outback of Oregon.
Got to see the Malheur National Refuge,
mm-hmm.
which was nice. That was the one that was taken over by the Bundy clan a couple years ago.
Yep.
We did not see the headquarters where that happened, but we did drive through on our way out of camp, and it was glorious.
Yes, it was.
Lots of birds and
deer
coyote and deer. This hunting season is on, and all those deer are like, "You can't shoot me! You can't shoot me!" It was great.
And when we did Steens Mountain, we did a drive through the auto tour loop, which is really awesome. Left right out of camp.
Yeah, just the Steens Mountain loop.
And we were leading the family caravan. And
I want walkie-talkies. Everybody should have walkie-talkies.
And so by the time we got up to the top, we got to basically, I'd say we got down about 100 feet of visibility. And I was like, oh, it can't get any worse. And then about the point we hit 9,400 feet in elevation, got dropped down to about 50 feet of visibility. And then at 9,500 feet, we stopped at a viewpoint, and all we could see was
fog.
Yep.
We knew that there was a huge cliff there, but you couldn't see it. 24 degrees.
Yep.
Snowing.
Yep.
Whew, it was rough.
Oh, man. That morning, even down in camp, it was... I started cooking breakfast, and I got a couple omelets done, and then...
The pitter-patter of little raindrops.
The wind picked up, and the temperature dropped at least 5 degrees, and the rain started, and then it turned to sleet, and there I am trying to cook eggs in the rain outside, or excuse me, in the wind outside with ice falling into it, and yep, that didn't go anywhere. So
I honestly am surprised you didn't just ask your parents if you could use their motorhome.
I did eventually, yes.
No, I know, but it would have saved you some grief and probably us some propane.
Mm-hmm.
If you had done that, but
so anyway, so then we got up to the top, and then we missed the turn because it's a 3-way fork in the road, and we did the 2 outer ones, but not the middle one, and the middle one was the one that actually goes to the proper summit.
Yeah.
So we will have to go back at some point to get up to 9,700 feet above sea level.
Yes.
And actually be able to see everything.
We got to get to the top of that fault, North America's largest fault scarp mountain.
Yep. And also the tallest mountain in North America without conifers, except for the junipers down low on it. But it's a bunch of aspens.
Junipers aren't coniferous.
Oh, they aren't? Oh, maybe not.
Maybe they... Now I gotta look it up.
So you got the sagebrush lands at the base, and then you've got a band of junipers, and then a band of aspen, and then just grasslands at the top.
Yeah, and that was really impressive.
Really
Everything was super small. I got a picture of a lupin that was, oh my God, the thing had to be smaller than a penny.
Wait, you could still see it? It was still alive?
Oh yeah, I got pictures of a couple of blooms. It obviously had just started snowing. Okay, yeah, they are conifers. I don't know why I thought.
Anyway, so there are conifers, but they're all down
way below the tree line.
Way down.
The aspens were glorious. We've been talking about this too long. These people don't want to hear about our glorious vacation.
Oh, but then we started heading back down, and we're going and going and going, and my dad was really wanting us to make a left turn when we got down to the highway because my uncle had seen a herd of wild horses 4 miles down below. And we're driving along, and there they are. The herd had moved up to the road we were on, and we saw a whole bunch of Kuiper Mustangs.
Yeah.
Which are amazing creatures.
They're the closest thing to wild horses that we've got in North America, right? I mean...
Yeah. It's actually debatable as to whether they are feral horses or wild horses, considering some of these, especially with this particular population in Oregon, they are the descendants of 16th century Spanish horses. So they've been loose and wild for, 400 or 500 years. And horses started out in North America.
Yeah, I'd say that those ones are probably, I would consider wild, but the rest of them, the ones that you can, you pay $150 and you get a wild Mustang, those are feral because couple years of work and you've got yourself a nice horse.
Well, like the ones in Chalice are in central Idaho are mostly thoroughbred and quarter horse.
Yeah, because they were horses that got out or were loose.
Compared to the ones in
the 1800s.
And you compare that or even the 20th century.
Yeah.
And you compare that to the horses that we saw, and yeah, they are almost completely descended from Spanish horses, which is amazing. But yes, I'm sure our listeners probably aren't all that interested in the intricacies of crazy rabbit trails you can get into when you look into the controversies of land management for what is either a reintroduction of a native species in North America or feral domestic animals.
Yeah.
In fragile desert to semi-arid ecosystems.
Yeah.
Yeah. So anyway, I think we've covered that sufficiently.
Good job.
I could go on for at least another 20 or 30 minutes, but I will spare our listeners that.
All right.
But Lauren, you went and checked out the new school that opened just down from us a little bit.
Peace Valley Charter School. Then for those of you who are not familiar with the charter school system, that means that they apply with the state for public school funds to help supplement their education. The whole point was that public education has been lackluster in its results in standardized testing here in Idaho, 48th in the nation.
Mm-hmm.
And so they opened funding up to a bunch of different schools to try and get unique and innovative teaching methods to help boost the stuff. Well, that's great in theory, but maybe not in actual practice.
Now, to kind of add to this, the school has buses that are labeled as Peace Valley Public School. And I believe the sign out front says Peace Valley Public School.
Yes, because in the loosest terms, it is a public school. It receives public school funding, and I don't believe they do any kind of discriminatory practices. And if you apply and pay the money, you can go.
As long as you agree to all of their stipulations.
Okay, yes. According to Belladonna, not her real name, I'm sure, the school is very holistic. That was a key word there. Environment driven and all natural. So if you decide to bring snacks or donate crayons, they have to be all natural, all organic. Buzzword, buzzword, buzzword. So
not free.
Not free.
No, nut free. Nut
free. Yes, no peanuts.
Or actual nuts.
Yeah, no nuts, no trans fats. If you are going to...
no trans fats, so no bacon?
No, they don't serve meat there. You can bring your own meat, and they won't take it away from you or anything, but they don't serve any meat there.
So, organic, vegetarian, meat-free.
Yes.
Or nut-free.
Yes.
Which vegetarian and nut-free is...
And I believe it's soy-free. I believe she mentioned soy-free. Gluten-free.
Okay, so you've eliminated...
most snacks.
Like, almost all your protein sources. By the time you've eliminated meats, nuts, soy...
You can have cheese.
And meats, nuts, soy, and gluten. That's most vegetarians' protein.
Well,
if all you're relying on is cheese... What happens if somebody's lactose intolerant?
Don't go to that school.
Crap.
Yeah. So I mean that gives you a nice idea of what the food is like. The materials they use in the classrooms are all environmentally friendly. Beeswax crayons, natural dyes for their painting classes, natural fibers for anything that they do with fiber. With textiles or anything.
Now, did they say environmentally friendly or did you say environmentally friendly?
I said environmentally friendly.
Okay, because if everybody did beeswax, anything that's waxy, I think we'd probably have a problem considering the issues that bees are having.
It also, yes, but that's also extrapolating that to a larger population.
True.
For a small school like this, beeswax crayons and whatever.
Okay, yeah.
It doesn't make a difference. But if you want to donate school supplies, nope. You better get the list first. And it is a very strict list of what items they are willing to use. I don't think you can even donate toilet paper rolls because, there was all sorts of, they weren't on the list I saw.
So are they just doing Sears Roebuck catalog now?
You've seen the playground. The playground is basically
dirt,
bark, sticks, a lot of rocks.
They have
a chicken coop.
They had pallet fencing for a while.
The pallet fencing finally went away, thank God. The weeds finally got mowed. Thank goodness. No pesticides, no sprays are done there. So this is like everything you and I hate about the buzz marketing of a healthier lifestyle. And this school is like right next door to us. And what surprises me is that it's very similar to a Montessori school, except for Montessori schools base it off of real life experience, while Waldorf schools are more focused on imagination and creativity. So a kid, say, enters the first grade and can't read or write, it's okay because that kid just hasn't grown into his ability to understand those concepts yet. So it's okay for him to just keep drawing pictures and...
Now, you would think if you're trying to promote creativity and imagination, you'd be trying to use fiction to teach reading and encourage creative writing to learn the basics of writing. But no, this is just don't bother.
No, I asked them about the state. You can't get money from the state unless you pass certain standardized testing marks. I'm like, how do you do that? She's like, oh yeah, we take the kids in to see computers twice a year, but we don't really, we take less funding so that they aren't as strict on their scores.
Wait, did you say they take kids in to see computers twice a year?
Yes. There are no computers there. I think there might be one at the front desk.
So they aren't trying to teach kids how to live in the 21st century.
That's unnatural. Yep. Most of these kids, if they were to be anywhere, they're homeschooled. In fact, while I was there, a lady came over and said, I'm sorry, my daughter decided she'd rather be homeschooled. Because these are people who want their kids to be all natural, apparently. And that's not such a bad idea. This is just taking it to an extreme where these kids are... if you can get into the second grade and not know how to read or write, that school's failing you.
Well, for one, if you can't read and write, at least at a first grade level, you shouldn't be passing first grade.
Yeah, well...
But if you have a school that's too concerned with continuing to get tuition rather than actually making sure kids are learning, you've got a problem.
Yeah, so I don't know how these guys qualify for any funding, but they shouldn't. And this is where the charter school system falls apart, is that it is a way for these schools to skirt regulation and still get funding to sell their message. Waldorf schools are non-sectarian? No, they are sectarian. Is that secular, right?
No, sectarian means part of a particular religious denomination.
Okay, yeah, okay. So they're non-sectarian, but they do follow a certain philosophy. Let's see here. It was called anthroposophy. And anthroposophy was invented by the guy who created the Waldorf school system. And it has to do with the spiritual connection with the earth.
It
very hippy-dippy.
It also sounds kind of similar to what they were talking about recently on Waiting for Wrath, with that system that involved the moon lemurs.
Yeah, the moon lemurs. Well, not really.
Well, not that similar.
Not at all.
Okay, not at that point, but the name is kind of similar.
Okay, yeah. This is somebody who's taking a spiritual existence and trying to make it sound scientific. But really, it is just a philosophy about how humans are connected to the spirit world, or the spirituality of the world. There we go. It has nothing to do with the Waldorf salad.
No,
I found this out. Also, if I were to go in and fill out a two-sheet volunteer application, I could be helping out in the classroom. And if I were to go in and apply for a substitute teacher position, despite having no credentials, they would be more than happy to have me on. So unqualified, no background checks.
You aren't even close to being qualified to be a substitute teacher.
Nope, but damn, I would do so much better than belladonna.
Oh, wow.
Just in case you didn't catch that, belladonna is a plant that has some historically has been used as a healing poultice, but for the most part is poisonous. So the fact that this woman named herself belladonna, which is a poison, is kind of hilarious.
Even the cases where it's been used as for medicinal purposes, it's as a poison. It's a neurotoxin.
Yeah, kills the nerves.
Or at least knocks them out for a little bit.
Not good for teething babies. We know that now.
Right, because you do a little bit of it, and it can relieve some of the pain of teething. You do just a little bit too much, and you relieve the need to breathe.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
The school system's been around since 1919, and has not been upgraded to any kind of modern technology. So, if you want your kid to live like a hippie of the early 20th century, you can go ahead and enroll them at a Waldorf school and pay out your butt for snacks and materials.
Okay, so I've got a few more questions here.
Okay. I got the Wikipedia page up.
Okay, so it's not a religion.
Right. Although some would claim that it is. Anthroposophy.
Do you think it fits close enough to be worth trying to get state funding pulled as a religious thing?
I don't think so. I think if you went with that, you would get shut down because Idaho is purposely leaving that open. There are lots of charter schools, I'm sure, that are religiously based. But if you were to go for the standardized testing, that would get it shut down faster.
Except you already covered the point where they take less money, so they don't have to worry about that.
Yeah. Also, it's really none of my business. I went over there to check it out because we live in the neighborhood, and I thought, oh, hey, I could volunteer at the local school. I would never set foot in that school again because all those unvaccinated kids are running around. But, because they're anti-vax. But if people want to pull their kids out of homeschool and put them in a hippy-dippy school...
Except that's also pulling money away from the public schools.
Yeah. That's the one thing that I would be like, I don't want to pay for this.
It is your business because we are paying for it.
Yeah. So, I mean, we could write something up and send it into the state. I would love to see what their response would be.
If they follow Arizona's example, it would be, you don't even have any business saying anything.
Yep. You're not in standing, I believe. Is
the current precedence,
even though our taxpayer money goes to it.
The current precedence is just because you pay taxes does not give you standing for squat.
Yeah, well, if that were the case, then I would also be, not funding the military and all sorts of stuff if I had the ability to designate tax monies, but I don't. I just kind of want to hear from anybody out there if you've got like a similar school in your area. What kind of choices do you have for your kids that raise the skeptic flag? I kind of want to hear examples, specific examples. It'd be really interesting to see what the patterns are throughout the country, especially here in Idaho, because like I said, they are so lax in their any kind of enforcement.
Right, because this whole school sounds like a system of, they figured out an interesting way to spread their beliefs, their belief system at taxpayer expense, and figured out how to do it in such a way that they can avoid state scrutiny.
Yeah.
Because theoretically, that should not exist.
But it's not a religion. It's a philosophy.
That shouldn't matter. Kids have to learn.
Shouldn't. Yeah, those kids, well, who knows? I mean, maybe they're well adapted, but I doubt it.
But if they aren't even bothering with the standardized testing, or they're doing the standardized testing but they don't care about the results, that suggests they just don't give a shit.
Yeah.
Because, like, I grew up in Oregon going to private schools that did not receive any government money. And they did care very much about standardized testing scores because they had to prove to the school district that they were actually teaching students and that students were advancing in their knowledge and education and keeping up. Otherwise, the school would have been shut down.
Yeah, I would love to get a hold of their testing scores and sick the media on them if they were well below average. Because, below average in Idaho is pretty bad. We still have kids who drop out of school at 8th grade. I mean, it's just backwards.
Yeah, that's true. All right, well, let's go ahead and take a break, and then we've got news. In Britain, a family of Christians decided to hide a dinosaur fossil they found.
Oh, is it like in the U.S. where that's a federal offense if it's a...
Well, no, this would have been something that started in... we're talking 170 years ago.
Oh, okay. Sorry.
Darwin's theory of evolution wasn't even a thing yet. They found this dinosaur fossil and figured out, oh, crap, this would disprove our Christian beliefs. So they took it home and buried it in their garden.
That's awesome.
So then the kids would always end up digging it up and finding it, and then being shocked by what they found, and then cover it back up. And then one of the kids in the family, Julian Temperley, had found it at one point when he was a kid. And after seeing a David Attenborough show, digging up something similar, he realized they had something even better. So he actually paid somebody to have the relic cleaned up, and it's now hanging on the wall of his building. He's a cider brandy maker.
Oh, okay.
And it's also the new logo for his 20-year-old cider brandy.
Okay.
Because of Christianity, one of the best ankylosaur fossils was kept buried in someone's garden for 170 years.
Yeah. How important would it be, though, if it ended up just being hung up on his wall?
Okay, so they don't have rules in Britain like we do here, where you aren't allowed to actually own vertebrates fossils.
Oh, okay.
So it is still just part of the family's private collection.
Good for him. That's awesome that he did that. Somebody had to break the chain, right?
Oh, yeah.
But yeah, that does seem kind of weird that a family would find a fossil and then hide it. Like,
well, and when you have a family secret, the whole point of the secret is to keep it from destroying your religion. At the point that you have a secret that could destroy your religion, you would think people would figure out, oh, wait a minute, my religion is bullshit.
Yeah, but you know that that's not how that works.
Okay,
So
it took me 4.5 years to get through that process.
Oh, okay.
I did get through that process, though. You would think over the course that it wouldn't take 170 years for that process to work out through a family. You would think at least rebellious teenagers would be like, oh, this just proves this is all bullshit. We should tell somebody about this because this is really awesome.
Yeah.
But no.
Was there like a family legend that was passed down, or
No.
How did he know about that they kept covering it back up?
Because everybody in the family did that. That'd be one of those kid things where every kid knows.
So he dug it up, and his dad said, "Oh yeah, I did that too. Just bury it."
I'm gonna guess it probably wasn't his dad. It's probably one of his cousins or older siblings. Like I know that from on the farm where, when I was a little kid, talking to cousins, you'd find out a lot of stuff that the adults would never talk about.
Yeah.
Because kids talk and do their own thing, and over the course of a family's history, things continue to get passed down. Heck, we've got nursery rhymes that have been passed down since the bubonic plague.
Yeah. I don't know. His story sounds a little meh.
What's meh?
How would he know that this thing's been buried over and over again for that long?
Because he knows the family's had it for 170 years.
How does he know that? That's what I'm getting at. Is that his dad or his grandpa or grandmother or somebody had to have told him that, oh yeah, we keep burying that. It just sounds like this guy found a bone, which had probably, been unearthed and showed signs of being unearthed, and he just assumed that his family?
Look at the picture. It's not a bone. It's a full skeleton.
Oh, that's cool.
You dig that up in your family garden, just loosely buried over. Eventually, he got enough information from the family to find out how long it had been there.
Okay, that makes sense.
But that's not just a bone.
No, that's an impressive fossil.
Yeah, like that should have been in a museum. To quote Indiana Jones, it belongs in a museum. Not a cider house or brandy house or whatever he wants to call it. It belongs in a fucking museum.
But they don't have those rules there, so...
It belongs in a museum.
Okay, well, I'd love to try some of that cider or brandy. So that would be fun.
Yeah.
It's all bony.
The South Carolina governor has been accused of violating the U.S. Constitution, in particular the First Amendment, because he starts every press conference with a prayer.
Okay. One, join the club. The Constitution means nothing these days.
Wrong. That is flat out wrong. It must mean something. We have to fight to make sure that it means something. If the people who want it to mean something decide to agree with Trump and his cronies that it doesn't mean anything, then it stops meaning anything.
Replace the word Constitution with Bible.
That is incredibly different.
No, it's not.
Yes, it very much is. The Bible is an ancient text that is not the basis of anything. Christians will say it is, but it actually isn't. They have their own documents that are actually the basis for how or whatever their denomination or church, how it runs. For the U.S. government, the Constitution is the basis for how the government works. If it doesn't mean anything, then our government doesn't have any meaning.
Anarchy!
Not anarchy, tyranny.
Okay, yeah. We're there.
We are getting very close.
We have a president who breaks rules all the flippin' time.
It is not full-blown tyranny until he does not leave office.
Okay.
So if he gets...
Okay, we'll see where that line goes.
If he loses in 2016 and he refuses to leave the White House and gets away with it, then we have full-fledged tyranny. But a 4-year tyrant is not quite a tyrant. That is just a bad blip on the radar. If you look at U.S. history, there have been other presidents nearly as bad.
Yeah, that's
a couple
true.
of times.
That's true.
Trump will likely still be the worst president of all time, but not by much. Andrew Jackson was really bad, and he was a 2-term president. But when he lost, he left office.
Got run out of office. That counts, right?
He left when he lost, and it was his time to go. If Trump doesn't, then yeah, that's a tyrant.
Yeah.
We would have not had a democracy if not for the fact that George Washington made sure that we had a constitution, and that after serving for 8 years, making sure that the country was off to a decent start, he left office.
I just can see him like throwing his arms up in the air and said, "I'm out." Adams, you take over.
So, okay, back to the point.
Yes, the Constitution does mean something.
The Constitution does mean something.
First Amendment is important.
The South Carolina governor...
This guy is definitely going against that.
Yeah, he is starting every press conference, not necessarily just with himself leading a prayer, but bringing in chaplains to lead prayers.
And how long has he been doing this?
At least since 2018.
I mean, he's obviously been able to just get away with it.
So, FFRF sent him a letter in January about prayers before press conferences about Hurricane Florence in September 2018.
Okay.
And McMaster's response was for as long as, or at least his office's response was, for as long as Henry McMaster is the governor of South Carolina and we have to prepare for these dangerous storms, there will be a chaplain saying a prayer before each of these press conferences. For every person who may get offended, countless South Carolinians likely gain strength and guidance and comfort from these prayers.
Right. It's just against the law for him to do it.
Right. The point of the press conference is saying not even necessarily what's happening with the storm. The National Weather Service does a great job of that. His job at the press conference is to get up there and say...
The National Weather Service and every man over the age of 50 who watches the Weather Channel nonstop.
His job in those press conferences is to get up and say what his state is going to do to help his people survive the storm with minimal effects on their day-to-day lives.
Well, you know what the most minimal effect is? Thoughts and prayers.
Yep.
So, yeah, all right.
So, for as long as Henry McMaster is governor of South Carolina and hurricanes keep on going where hurricanes go, he's going to keep sending up thoughts and prayers.
That's your politicians in action.
Yep.
That's awesome. Kudos to the Republican that said, my prayers aren't doing anything. And actually spoke out against that. That was awesome.
Yeah.
I wish I remembered his name, but there's too many of them.
He was the mayor of a town in Florida. I remember that much.
Oh, yeah, Florida. Yeah.
He was a Florida man.
Florida man. All right.
In New Zealand, under new census data, no religion has now passed Christian as the most popular identification for religion for somebody in New Zealand.
Cool. Small country.
Yep.
So, once that generation gives up on something, that can happen pretty quick.
It's a small country, but it's also a country that has just recently decided to keep their colonial flag.
That was weird. That was because it was rigged. The voting was rigged.
Yeah, it was, yeah.
So that's not really fair. They would have chosen a different one if they had the chance to.
Maybe.
But that's New Zealand keeps popping up in the good category.
So it ends up being a little bit more than just no religion beats Christian. No religion came up at 48.59%.
Whoa.
Christian came in at 37.31%.
Okay.
So nearly half of the population has no religion. Just over a third of the population is Christian.
Now, so depending on how they ask the question, sometimes no religion means no specific religion.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not that the 50% of the population is atheist.
Correct.
Just that they're not one of the main denominations.
This would mean, given the choice between saying I am a Christian and I have no religion, they went with no religion.
Okay. That's
not
cool.
Christian.
Hey, that's cool.
There are some people who will claim that they are followers of Christ and say they are not Christian. If they had read their own book, they would know that that is blasphemy. I doubt that's a statistically significant portion of the population that is that fucking stupid.
Yeah, we have those arguments with Mormonism all the time.
In Arizona,
AZ,
the Supreme Court there awarded 2 Christian commercial artists partial exemptions from Phoenix's anti-discrimination ordinance.
Okay.
So it was a 4-3 decision, and the ruling was that Duca and Koski cannot be compelled to make wedding invitations with words or symbols that, in the court's view, signify their approval of same-sex marriage, which means they don't have to make invitations that include the name of the couple or that request the honor of the recipient's presence.
So basically, they won't make wedding invitations for same-sex couples.
The ruling is you can't force them to make custom products. If it's off the shelf, they have to print it and give it to a same-sex couple.
But that is custom. You don't print wedding invitations that don't have a name on them.
This is why this is really weird.
That's a really dumb rule.
Because, what Alliance Defending Freedom wanted was, oh, you're gay, you're wanting to get married, Christians don't have to give you anything. They can just throw you out on the streets. And the court tried to do a middle-of-the-road ruling. And middle of the road between bigots and equal rights doesn't exist.
Yeah.
So what they end up saying is, yes, you can get a wedding invitation with no names and no date on it. These aren't Mad Libs.
Yeah. Oh my God. Did the judges realize? They had to have realized that doesn't exist.
What they did, and what's crazy here is...
Oh, what you can do, actually, is you can get a generic we're getting married card, and then you print your own slips that have the details and you put them inside.
Yeah.
So you can still get the nice design, whatever you like, but you have to add your own little slip of paper in the envelope, which a lot of invitations have anyway. But
realistically, at this point, this is... The court thought they'd figured out a way to have their cake and eat it too.
Just as long as it wasn't wedding cake for a gay person.
And this ruling would also mean you can't not make a wedding cake for a gay couple as long as you don't have to put their names or 2 brides or 2 grooms on top.
So from the sounds of it, there's more and more. It started out as win for equal rights, and now we're getting more and more backpedaling.
It's sliding back.
That sucks.
And in this
case... It always
case,
happens, but this sucks.
And to be very clear on this one, if you have a choice between getting your wedding invitation printed by somebody who won't put your name and the date and place of where the wedding is going to be, and getting your invitation printed by someplace that will... The place saying, oh, sorry, we'll print you invitations, but without any personal information. We'll just give you a blank invitation. That's saying, no, we aren't going to provide you the service you want because a wedding invitation includes that information.
Yeah.
And having to contract a separate company to print the sheet with those details? Oh, no, that's bullshit.
Dude, it's called Kinko's. But, yeah, I always just, you walk in, you say, okay, this is what we want. They're like, oh, sorry, we're not going to do that. We don't condone your marriage. It's like, okay, you walk out, you go online to Etsy or something, and you find somebody who will. Because it seems like the more that people sue over it, the more we're losing. Yeah. We have more precedents now for artists and creative people to deny services to gays and lesbians and trans and everybody than we did 5 years ago. Because people keep suing it over it, And the Supreme Court keeps backpedaling.
But if people didn't sue...
Take your business elsewhere? Doesn't count?
If people didn't sue, it would still have the same effect. Because this is...
Right, they just wouldn't be throwing money away at lawyers. It's
2019. Everybody talks on the internet, and if you're on some Christian wedding baker subreddit, everybody would talk about when they got away with fucking over the gay people. And I'm sure they do as it is. In this case, they're setting really bad precedent in the process, which also does suck.
Okay, there is not a subreddit for Christian wedding cake makers, but I had to look.
Okay. I am surprised. Honestly, I am surprised there isn't. So yeah, this is they could have ruled worse, but not much, which means what the Arizona Supreme Court figured out how to do is have a ruling that pisses everybody off.
All right, way to go.
And if you're a court and you make everybody angry, you fucked up.
Yeah.
Because in a court, there is supposed to be a winner and a loser.
It's not that simple, though, sometimes.
In this case, the simple option was either you don't have to do squat, or you have to do it, or you have to treat people equally.
It's amazing how that...
And they figured out how to not do either.
Yep. True.
A Fox News panel concluded that liberals are worshiping the environment instead of God.
Wow. Oh, I remember this. Yeah, that is, oh my God.
I thought this was evidence of why these big climate change proposals will never work, because people don't want to be told what to do.
Well, you even see them with some of the Democratic candidates. They get asked questions that are supposed to seem crazy. Like, the straw thing, that's silly, right? And they go, well, climate change is an existential threat, and maybe we can't have straws. And everyone starts looking at them like, really, guys? This is where we're going? Stop eating red meat. These are things that are never going to catch on with the electorate. And it just goes to, climate change is a religious belief for people who think they're too smart for religion. That's really what it's turned into now. And you see all the different aspects. It lines up. They're asking for forgiveness. Do they really think that there's any world in which any of this makes any difference?
Who is asking for forgiveness?
I'd never asked.
That was a really odd thing for him to say.
Yeah.
The whole thing, I get what I get the point. Gotta nitpick it though. What do you think environmentalists are? And what do you think the purpose of addressing climate change is?
Right. Like, I don't have environmental beliefs per se.
Well, I do suffer from environmental guilt. That's no better than Catholicism.
And I've never found myself asking anyone forgiveness for anything I've done that's bad for the environment. I do look at and try to accept the scientific consensus on what is happening with the environment. I do try to look at that and see what I do and do not do in my life that could help improve that for future generations, like for our daughter.
Yeah, but like that one lady said, when it comes right down to it, we don't like to be told to change.
No.
So we're still going to have 2 cars. We're still going to eat red meat. We're still going to use straws once in a while. Although we're cutting down on the red meat hugely.
Mm-hmm.
And we've almost eliminated straws.
Yeah, when it really comes down to it, liberals, environmentalists, scientists, and the like, we do believe that there is a world where all this makes a difference. It does matter, because there isn't a God who's going to just make it all better. It is people who believe that God is going to come burn up the earth in their lifetime that think this doesn't matter. Those are the people who are ignoring reality. Those are the people who are ignoring the fact that this is a world where it really, really does matter. And for Fox, if Fox News wants to be taken seriously, they really need to stop saying stupid shit like this. All right, now it's time for feedback. First off...
It better be good. You dragged me out of bed for it.
You weren't in bed. You were just on the bed.
I was looking for something to draw on my sketch pad.
Okay, so I'm going to save the one that I got you up for last.
It's to prevent me from ditching.
Maybe.
Okay.
So first we got Steve via Facebook. These were some updates to the episode we had with Tony from Conversations with God.
Sweet, sweet Tony.
So Steve wrote, Australia definitely has school chaplains, mostly Pentecostal happy clappers, and funds religious schools at ridiculous rates. Atheists lost a funding case in 1980-ish on constitutional grounds. Ours took some of its wording from the U.S. Constitution, but lost in the High Court. Religious schools were public schools, poor cousins before then. In Australia, when you add yourself... and then the second one was, in Australia, when you add yourself to the voting rolls after you're 18, you remain on the roll until your death.
Ah, that's nice, right? You don't ever lose your voting status?
Yeah.
Due to moving or not re-registering or being black.
Apparently, yeah.
Being poor.
Or like when Idaho tried to remove my voter registration because there isn't a procedure to end your registration in states when you move out.
Oh, yeah.
They looked and like, hey, you're registered to vote in other states too. You must not want to vote in Idaho. And it's like, I don't live in those other states.
Yeah. Well, you're a Democrat, so we're not going to change it.
But yeah, I know we've covered stories about Australian chaplains before in schools, and it's weird. Australia is a weird place.
What's weird is that a ruling from the 80s-ish has set the course for public education, and there appears to be no recourse for it.
Yeah.
Of course, I guess that's true here too. It's just these the high judges chose different paths, and now we get to see what could have been. Australia is actually a Twilight Zone episode of what America could have been.
Yeah, a lot of similarities and a lot of really weird differences.
Yeah, they have cooler animals.
Scarier
That's not
animals.
true. We have cool animals.
I am much more comfortable with wolves and bears than I am with their snakes and spiders.
And koalas with their gonorrhea.
Yeah.
No, chlamydia?
One of those.
It's chlamydia,
I
think.
think so, yeah. They will eat your eyes out.
Yeah.
Koalas barely have enough brain cells to be a mammal,
but they're so cute.
Are higher than kites their entire lives, surviving on poisoned food.
Good for them.
They're weird. And then from Celia via Facebook. Hi, Dustin. I'm listening to the latest episode of Atheist Nomads. I just heard Kylie singing out loud into the microphone just after the intro. She sounded like that little girl they called Boo from the old Disney and Pixar movie Monsters, Inc. Her cuteness just kills me.
Oh my gosh, I've never actually seen those movies, but I know what she's talking about. I'm excited to watch those now. She is super cute.
Mm-hmm. And yeah, she literally just grabbed the microphone, pulled it down, and started singing into it.
She knows we talk into it. Therefore, it's a plaything.
Unless you have a guest on the show who you want to let Kylie talk to, and then you put the microphone in her face, and then she won't talk to Kylie.
Yeah. Well, sorry, Callie. That was super cute too, though. Stage fright.
Oh, yeah. Both are incredibly adorable. But thank you, Celia. I'm glad you enjoyed that. I always calculate how much to leave in, what to leave in, and that was one that was just too perfect to cut.
Yeah.
Because it was good. And we have a new patron.
Aw, yay.
Steven.
Thank you, Steven.
So thank you, Steven. I
will not call you Steven, even though I want to.
Why would you do that?
Because Steven... wasn't that it's a meme from like forever ago. Anyway, it doesn't.
All right. Well, thank you, Stephen, for your support. And if you want to contact us, you can send us an email at contact@atheistnomads.com. Leave us a message on SpeakPipe at atheistnomads.com/SpeakPipe, or use the feedback form on the website at atheistnomads.com, or various other means like the social medias and whatnot.
Yeah, we want to hear from people. We're bored with each other. We want to hear from you guys.
And if you want to support the show, you can always find out how at atheistnomads.com/donate. We have a bunch of ways. And I am also going to announce that we're going to take next week off.
Vacation? Not really.
No. I have, up to this point, never actually taken a week off from the show. There was the every 2 week schedule, and there was one time that we were a week late, but that was back in 2012. I have prepared episodes in advance. I have never actually just taken a week off since 2012. This is going to be weird.
This is going to make or break it. If he doesn't come back, that's the end of the show, right? That's how this works.
Laura, don't even suggest that.
This is what podcasters do. This is the beginning of the fade out.
No,
Okay.
This is not. This is taking some time to work on some retooling. I've been hinting at ideas. Hinting is not the right word because I haven't had any idea what the hell I'm going to be doing. I've known I'm going to be making some changes to the show, but haven't been quite sure what. I am pretty certain now, and so I'm going to take advantage of a week to do some retooling and work on some scheduling.
Cool.
So there will be no episode next week.
Nice. Well, not really. Everybody's crying on the inside.
It's going to be really, really weird.
We'll make it, people. It's okay.
Yeah, this is going to be really weird, and yeah.
It's so funny. We've been on the road constantly this summer.
Yeah.
And it's finally when we don't have anything planned that you decide to take the week off. Good for you.
Yeah.
All right.
Yep. So, listeners, remember, not all those who wander are lost, and you'll be hearing from us in 2 weeks.
Bye.
Thank you for listening to another episode of Atheist Nomads. You can find show notes and contact information at atheistnomads.com. Follow us on Twitter at Atheist Nomads, and like us on Facebook at facebook.com/Atheist Nomads. Please subscribe to the show in iTunes, Stitcher, or your podcatcher of choice, and while you're there, feel free to leave us a review. Theme music is courtesy of Sturdy Fred. Until next time, this has been the Atheist Nomads.